even though there was no reason to hope. And all my logic said that I would never see this place again.
Hey, welcome to this month's AnimChallenge. My name's David Tart, and I'm going to be looking over this month's winner for the acting part, the Toy Story Challenge. So congratulations to Jairo Cuadrado, if I've got that name right, for creating this really awesome acting shot. My name is David Tart. I'm an animator. I've been animating CG animation for the past 25 years or so. I worked on Toy Story 1, I worked on Toy Story 2, and a bunch of other stuff. So I was really pleased to have this opportunity to have a look at what you guys are doing with these characters this month. There's a lot of good entries, and this one really stood out. I'm going to let it loop a couple of times so we can get a chance to see it.
Even though there was no reason to hope. And all my logic said that I would never see this place again. Even though there was no reason to hope. And all my logic said that I would never see this place again.
Oh man, I feel so bad for Woody. This is a really great shot. And one of the things that's great about this shot is that this is a shot that gives us an example of what to do when there's not much going on, and really to employ some subtle acting techniques. These are some of the most difficult shots. On the one hand, technically they look very easy because you've just got character from the neck up, and theoretically you're dealing with less controls, and so should be a snap, right? But these types of shots often get a lot more directorial scrutiny because they're so important. This is an important moment type of shot, right? And most animators, including myself, like to do a lot of action. We'll be looking at the AnimChallenge action shot after this. And so when you're faced with this challenge of, well, I really need to pull back on all the movement because you're not going to accent every syllable. You're not going to put in a big take, put in a lot of action. You're just dealing with a very subtle situation, and that can drive some animators nuts. Jairo, and again, if I'm pronouncing your name right, that'll be awesome. It just looks like you did a really nice job with this. I want to talk about a couple of things I just felt could be a little bit better. And not that means that there's anything wrong with this shot. And I think that probably the first thing is that it might be nice to get the shoulders involved, because by bringing the shoulders up a little bit and then dropping them, you can help to show a little bit more internal tension. And I think that the place that he could do that is on even, right? To bring those shoulders up, to let the clavicles come up a little bit on that beat. Even though, just to show a little bit of regret there. Even though, right? Just slightly, not a lot. You don't want to even though, it's not shrugging it off. It's another subtle thing, right? And then where you can drop them is on hope.
Even though there was no reason to hope.
You can hope. You can bring them down on hope. Just let them drop back down. And it can show a little bit of exhalation and show that he's he's letting go of hope. Even there's no reason to hope. Right? It's a very small thing, but I think that could be nice. I think it would be important to show a little bit more pain in the facial expression, and there's two ways to do that. And I think the first place comes after hope.
Even though there was no reason to hope.
So when he comes up here to get a little bit of pain in those brows, right? A little bit of tension in the furrow, possibly. Again, not much. This is a subtle shot. We don't want to overdo this. And so, but I think showing that, and also doing some shaping with the orbiculus oculi, meaning, Woody's eyes right now are just completely round. There's not much shaping going on. But it would be nice when you move into a pained expression that often that involves a little bit of shaping down here to show that there's a little bit of tension pushing up, right? A little bit of pushing up in the cheeks, a little bit of flattening this area up here to create a little something that's not there to go along with that sort of pained expression. Now, the other place to show that tension, I think, is in the very beginning when he says even, right? Probably at the start of the shot that, and I'll use my mouth here because it's going to be hard to draw this, but when you're experiencing pain, you're often have a very slight sneer. It's not a sneer like, I'm Johnny Rotten, fuck everybody. It's pain like, this is hard for me to deal with. Like, a little bit of that mouth hanging open a little bit more. So just by bringing up sort of the corner of the mouth here a little bit, and still keeping that sort of plasticky feel, but seeing something in this area that shows that this is an unpleasant, sort of distasteful moment. And then you can let that go after that. Just on a technical or editing note here, one thing you want to do at the end of this shot is establish a better cut on action. So at the end of this shot, him moving a little bit more in this direction and also showing a little bit more movement of the hand out towards, again, in this direction. So when we cut to this shot, the movement is from screen left to right, right? And so we want to establish that in a cut by having this move a little bit more left to right, and also establish that he's leaning a little bit left to right. And that'll help really make that cut smooth. Because what happens is when you set up that action in the shot that precedes whatever the next shot is, it helps to telegraph where that's going. It gets the audience ready to see that cut. Really nice saccadic eye movement. What you're doing with the eyes. And again, this is one of the frontiers that you have here on a subtle shot like this, is very small eye darts. And you did a really good job to keep those non-specific. And what I mean by that is that when a character's having an internal moment, the saccadic eye movement is not going to be the same as if the character's like looking at something and examining through eye darts what that thing is. When a character's having an internal moment, they're not looking at anything outside themselves. They're accessing images inside the mind, right? So I think you did a really good job on that. The one thing about a shot like this is that lip sync becomes really important. And that's because it's featured. You got this big mouth here, right? And so there's going to be more scrutiny, especially from a director. For some reason, producers get really intense on lip sync too. It's like their only creative input. There's a couple of places where there's some shapes missing, or shapes that are blown through too quickly. I think what we're looking for here is the V, and to get those teeth a little bit more clearly up over that bottom lip. F and V are really fun shapes, and we tend to want to feature them. right? Even, right? And then your P for hope could be a bit stronger. There's two things that happen with it. It comes a little bit late, comes about 3 frames late.
There's no reason to hope.
And literally, it's like move it back 2 frames, it'll be on there. And I would compress this a little bit more and then have a little bit more of a plosive afterwards. Hope, hope, to get that breath out.
Listen to hope. And all my logic said. And all my logic said that.
Yeah, and yeah, I think just more definition for the phonemes would probably be a good idea. Woody's a special case because, it's kind of been established over years. Oh, this is how he makes his phonemes. He's plastic, so we have to consider that as well. And he generally has these pinches, in the corners of his mouth that are sort of a classic Woody thing. But anyways, a little bit more attention to the phonemes. Let's see if there's anything else. I want to go back and talk about that shrug again.
Even though there was no reason to hope.
You could do that in 2 places. One, you could pull the shoulders up on even though there's no reason to hope, and then bring them down afterwards. Or you could do a very small micro shrug on hope, even though there's no reason to hope. Even though there's no reason to hope. Right? Just bring them up and down. That might look nice. I don't know if that would, some of these ideas, what you have to do is explore them. And it's possible you tried them out already and decided, let's go with what you've got here. So, yeah, overall, I think this is great. The lighting, rain in the back looks wonderful. The mood is set correctly. And
even though there was no reason to hope.
You've just got that minimal head shake. That's awesome. And so, yeah, overall, I just want to say really good job. It's amazing. It's hard to do these subtle acting shots. And you did a really good job with this. So, yeah, that's about it. I'm going to get on with the second AnimChallenge critique, but in a different file. And congratulations to everybody that entered this month. It's not an easy thing to do, to get your work up there in front of everybody. It's not an easy thing even to get an additional critique from someone like myself. It's personally, I would be very nervous about getting an additional critique or a final critique, because I know how much time and effort it takes to make these shots in the first place. So really good job. Keep on animating.